Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Brian with Connecting Connections and more. I get to hang out today going into February. This is our second month, folks, of our masterclass workshop on what? Self-care. After COVID, during COVID, before COVID, we all needed to do some self-care. So this is a great time for us to be able to take a step back, not only pause and pivot, but really prioritize ourselves, right? Speaking of which, as you guys are gonna notice, my voice is going out a little bit. I don't know what's going on other than life, right? It's cold. Here we are in winter. So Steve, what's going on in PA? We have a Philadelphia, we have a Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we got a lot of Pennsylvania representation here.
We do, 2 Pittsburghs, Claudia and I, and then a Philadelphia. I feel like this is like P-Town.
Well, we are 1/12 through the year, and it's a good thing. It's, I'm trying to carry through the momentum that has been building in January. There's been some good engagement around these topics, and I think we're helping people. And I think we're giving people ideas, and we're giving people things that they can bring into their daily lives and into their habits. And that's really the goal. So we're not looking for enormous cataclysmic changes in people's lives. We're looking for little steps that people can do every day to make them feel better about what their position is, and physically.
Little steps every day. It's not a big moment. Right. It's those little moments. Speaking of little moments, Claudia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm here.
You had a lot of little moments. You're all over the place with the buzz, coffee with Claudia. I saw you're bringing a new one too. Makeup care, skincare. What's the new group that you're starting? I just saw it on social media.
I have the Man's Cave.
Man's Cave. There's another one I just saw.
Man's Cave. I have the Be Your Best Self with Claudia.
Yeah. I saw
it's all about
another meeting group. Are you doing another meeting during the week?
Oh, the Buzz. The Buzz is our guest event group. That's where we
No, it's not the Buzz. No. Listen, I gotta go research. You're doing so much.
Claudia's got 4 meetings a day.
Absolutely.
No, it's actually yeah. I space it out because I keep my sanity that way.
Keeping sanity is part of self-care, right?
Yes.
Knowing and being self-aware of the self-care that you're doing or not doing. Right at the end of the day, COVID has really taught us a lot of different things. Steve, what has it taught you as far as self-care and self-awareness?
Well, I think there's a heightened consciousness of what's going on around us, and how we can both be impacted by that and impacted ourselves. I think the one great lesson of COVID, regardless of your political stance or your mask wearing stance, is that it doesn't take a lot to affect a lot of people. So if you have, like, I've had situations I've known of where one person wasn't even aware that they were infected, went into a group of 20, 30 people unknowingly, and all of a sudden 15, 20 people have caught the virus, and it just multiplies from there. And I guess that's literally the expression, going viral. But I think from a sort of consciousness standpoint, it's a matter of I think an increased sensitivity to the impact that we have. But it isn't just spreading a virus. It's also how you help other people and work with other people and support other people and be a resource for other people. And so I think that's something that, at least personally, I've found that there's a lot more of right now, at least in my little world. So, and I know Claudia works with a lot of people, so I think she'll agree with me, but, I'd like to hear your experience as well.
Yeah, my experience is a little bit different. I agree with you totally, but when COVID hit, and my phone is going off, when COVID hit, I think a lot of people started going back to, we were all stuck. It was a lockdown. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden we couldn't go out, and we had to look for alternatives to do things. And we talk about people being lonely and going through depression because they were in a lockdown. So I think it was a huge time for people to look at their well-being. It was like a time to think of our health, how to take care of ourselves, the mind, the body, everything, because there are people that found themselves all by themselves, alone. If they lived by themselves in an apartment, they couldn't go out. So I think for me, a huge part of that time during COVID was the health side of it. The healthcare, the self-care. That's when everybody started talking about self-care, taking time for yourself to clear your mind, different ways, and we can talk about here. But for me, I think of that when COVID hit, because
Claudia, how do you think, because I know one of your businesses, or maybe your main business is the skincare, which is sort of an extension of health, and which is kind of an extension of self-esteem and how people feel about themselves. But what's your observations of that? Do you think people's self-esteem has been challenged, or maybe they just had more time to think about it, or they just, because of the isolation? That's something I've seen a lot of, where people just feeling, oh, I'm just doing whatever I'm doing and nobody cares, or they're not able to socialize as well. So it's kind of isolated them from people. And it kind of comes in and out. We've been almost 2 years into this annoying circumstance, and it kind of lightened up and it got worse, and lightened up, got worse. So
yeah,
you have any thoughts there?
I think it plays a part in, I think with self-care, you do have to work at it. You have to be conscious about your daily activities, how you see yourself, all the thoughts that we have in our minds and what we're telling us. And people being in lockdown, they're all over social media, so they're watching. It's what you watch too. You have to pick and choose what you surround yourself with, right? You can surround yourself with all the things on social media. It could be not the truthful things. So when you have to really be intentional about your surroundings and who you're hanging with or following. Like if we're talking about lockdown on social media, if you're watching those people who, everything's perfect, it's not the real world, and your self-esteem can go way down. So you really have to be aware of your surroundings, which is part of self-care, your environment at home and your social media, who you're following, who you're friends with, and, following people who have more positive posts and realistic posts, and that will bring you up and make you happier as opposed to bringing you down.
I've never seen a negative post on the social media.
Well, listen, I think, Claudia, you bring a phenomenal point. No one has talked about social media and self-care. None of us had social media growing up, right? So we didn't have to deal with any of this bullying or, again, flipping through and seeing the post about XYZ. So I think that's a very valid concern, and how sometimes we need that social media break, right? We need that moment just to be able to say, wait, this right here is my reality. That is not. I just watched a movie and I hadn't seen it before. It's called Second Act. And it's a Jennifer Lopez movie. And the premise of it is she doesn't have a high school diploma, but she ends up getting this job because she fudged her resume. And long story short, it ends with the best quote. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I tried to write it down, and then I looked for it on YouTube because I wanted to post it yesterday, but I didn't find that. But it was to the point that every morning you wake up and you get choices to redo, to make new, to live a life. And I just thought that was extremely powerful, because we wake up and we get to choose, right? Like, bad things happen at the end of the day, but what do we do with the bad things? We have a rule in our house, between Jackson and I, that we get 24 hours to feel bad about ourselves, right? To feel bad about a situation, to feel guilty or feel sad. And after that 24 hours, we got to get back up, because you know what? Life is still going on. The garbage man is still going to come and pick up garbage. I still am going to have rent due in less than 24 hours, right? So we've got to be able to pick that up and keep on going. Steve, have you been in situations where you've dealt with kids, or even their parents that just are are just negative, in their skills, or in their, I don't want to say parenting, but in their presentation with their child regarding grades? What does that look like for self-care for that student?
You get a lot of different ways that the parent-child dynamic can be very stressful. It can be supportive and stressful at the same time, which is sort of paradoxical, but it can be, because the assumption is a parent wants the best thing for the child. And I think the sort of secondary assumption is the kids want to do whatever they want. Anybody who's raised, especially teenagers, knows that just for all your good intentions as a parent, you don't always communicate that as well. But what I see often is a gap between the expectations of the parent and the reality of what the children want or can deliver. And you'll hear comments like, well, your sister got straight A's, how come you got a B? Or, your sister wanted to go to this really good university, and why do you want to go to community college? Or so you get a lot of the standards aren't necessarily fair to the child. But specifically, I think the negativity comes in more at the level of people just not wanting to accept some of the challenges that they have to face. If that's really oversimplifying it, but parents sometimes tend to simplify things. Oh, well, just study more and you'll get better grades, or do this and it'll all come together. And they don't always appreciate the actual literal amount of work that goes into it. And then sometimes the kids just aren't motivated to do it. So there's a natural friction that way. But I don't know that that's worse or better than it was 100 years ago. I think the fact that it got amplified, I think, let's say in the last couple of years, because the parents and kids were together more, so they had more time, perhaps in this context, to irritate each other. But I don't think it's a new phenomenon, the fact of, this sort of dichotomy of thinking in these regards. So
well, it's all about perception as well, right? So Jackson just had counselors come to his class last week, and he was picking his classes, and he is in all honors classes. So he came home and I know, thank you. And he has a learning disability. Like, again, mind frame, right? We've been like that from day one. So this little dyslexic dude, right, is now taking honors history, honors social studies, honors math, and honors English. And he comes home and he is ecstatic. And I'm like, oh my God, Jackson Robert, I'm so proud of you. And, I was just counting it. And then I took a step back and I thought, oh gosh, right? Like, and I even said, listen, I'm not proud of you because you're in honors. I'm proud of you because you did what you had to do and was able to be successful. Because I don't want him to feel that he has that pressure, right? Do you see that a lot, Steve? The pressure?
I think the pressure is inherent just kind of in life of academics, because there's always an end point, right? Eventually you're going to finish middle school, and you're going to move to high school, and finish high school, move to college. So there's inherent deadlines that by definition create some pressure. The question is, who puts the pressure on who or whom? I never quite got that pronoun right. And how big of a deal is it? So that's, I think, where it comes up. Some parents, you're going to go to this university because your mother and I went there, and that's what we want for you. I don't think that's very healthy unless the kid wants it as well. Yeah. But yeah, I see this all the time. I'm not even saying it's bad, and I'm not saying it's inappropriate for parents to try to motivate their kids and to push them. That's certainly within the context of parenting. But I think there's also an aspect of communication that is very important in this equation as well. And it shouldn't be a unilateral, you're going to do this and I'm the parent and that's why, and I'm saying it, that's why you should do it. That doesn't really work as well with an older child, at least when it's things that are going to impact their life long-term, like academics.
Claudia, let me ask you, I feel like there's some pressure in your industry as well, when you have all these beauty magazines or this new color or this new foundation. Ironically, second act, her job was that she was creating a all organic line of makeup. I know, you should watch it. It was like 2009 that it came out. Didn't even know about it. But it was a good movie. But regardless, my point is what kind of pressure do you have to do you come across, and that self-care to make sure that that balance is met?
It's a good question. The thing that I try to relate to people, like especially in my business, the beauty industry, skincare and cosmetics, you're not looking for perfection. Nobody's perfect, but what you're looking is to bring out, I would say, happiness. It's not your best self. It's the beauty products that we have, and the makeup will bring you happiness. Everybody's different. And you're talking about, Stephen, about parents and kids they're all different. You can't compare them. They're all going to be different, even coming from the two same parents. So with the beauty industry, I mean, you did see a lot of that is changing, especially with models, and you see that with Victoria's Secret. They're changing that ideal perfect body and perfect face. For me, I try to relay the message that as long as it brings you happiness, you don't cover up things. If don't cover up your face, be yourself. If you don't like makeup, just take care of your skin and be your pretty self the way you are. Don't try to mask it, or I don't even know if I'm relaying the message.
I probably don't have the history completely correct, but wasn't the original premise of Mary Kay to help empower women?
Yeah.
At the time the company was founded, generally didn't have a lot of entrepreneurial opportunity or equality in the workplace, right? I don't know the exact timeline, but I remember hearing this whole story.
Yeah, 1963, I can tell you.
Okay,
1963, she launched the business really because she was in the man's world. She was in sales, Mary Kay Ash, and she would train new managers, and she never got promoted to the level that she deserved. So she retired, and then she eventually created her own company. And it was really to empower women who were home, to give them options, women who were trying to juggle a home, a profession, and kids. So that is why till today, you don't see our business as a retail location. It's a home business. It's supposed to give women flexibility so they can work when they can around their family and kids and life. So yeah, that is so true.
That goes into the sort of universe of self-care, because it's creating some level of freedom in a way. I mean, not everybody, completely takes advantage of the financial piece, but at least it gives you options.
Exactly. And we do say it's so much more than lipstick, because when you say Mary Kay, a lot of people, majority of people I talk to, they say, oh, I don't wear makeup. And we joke, it is so much more than lipstick, because here I'm a perfect example, because I did not start using the products to work it as a business. I wanted something for my skin. And here I am. My passion is really to share this with other women and men. We have men in our business. To give them those opportunities.
A men line. Not only do you have guys, but you have a man line.
We have a men's line, and we have men driving pink Cadillac, and now we have pickup trucks in our business, because that's what they're, we have men in our business, so we're catering to men as well. So it's like you start with a product that's for beauty and health, but the result is, like, if you work the business, and even if you don't choose to work the business first, the result is empowering women, like you said, more confidence, somebody who can be in charge, or be in control of their time, and flexibility in finances. So all that came with the beauty products. So yeah, what you're trying to say, it's much more empowering women. Yeah, the changes that you go through, and the opportunity and the possibilities are amazing.
See, I think in a way we're both in the self-esteem business. Well, the self-esteem bolstering business, which is certainly a subset of self-care, because typically I'm going to work with either a student or an entrepreneur who has some struggle for whatever reason. They're not able to accomplish something they want to do or need to do or are compelled to do. And it's very rewarding when you can guide them and coach them and teach them, and then you see them be able to do something, and now they're independent and they're getting whatever reward it is, whether it's financial or grades or both. So that's the that sort of intangible joy you get from being a teacher, mentor kind of thing. But really more importantly, it's the secondary impacts it can have, because those people can now go out and impact other people and share their positivity around. So one person can only do so much, but the circle you can influence can do way, way more. It's kind of leveraging yourself. And I think that's sometimes what gets a little bit buried as well. I don't think even we appreciate it sometimes. And I'm not saying that, everything I do has this incredible impact, but I think sometimes the little things, it's like I said before, the little things add up and become eventually really big things if you can get enough of them.
Yes, like they say, you smile at somebody, you make that person happier. That person will maybe smile at another person. And it just goes, one little thing as you saying thank you, or, holding the door for somebody, or smiling and saying good morning, it has a huge impact.
I think we forget with the whole lack of touching, right? And the whole, we can't cough in public now. I laugh with Jackson. I'm like, look, in the 1900s, we actually got sick, right? And here we are now with COVID, and there's like sickness doesn't happen anymore unless it's COVID, right? Like people just don't get sinus infections anymore. And if you do, you're looked at. So it's about adapting, which it sounds like is part of that self-care piece, right?
For sure.
How do you feel? I mean, I think you've already said it a couple of different times already, but are there any other ways that you feel Mary Kay has transitioned? Again, now you have pickup trucks, right? You have husbands working with teams. You have a men's line. I keep saying man's line, a men's line. Anything else, Claudia?
I mean, in the world of self-care, you think of the mental self-care that, you hear about taking time for yourself, for your well-being, meditating, reading, journaling, or the physical exercising, nutrition, taking care of your body, doing your mask, sleeping. So I think with Mary Kay, the focus is the physical. You're taking that time to recharge, doing a mask or taking a bath with beauty products and body products. But in all, the results are a better you. So I can say that it goes into the mental, everything that Mary Kay teaches you how to be happy with yourself, the education that they give you, reading, and everything empowers you. So that's the mental, and the physical makes you a better person too, because you learn to believe in yourself, better yourself, take time for yourself so you can take care of somebody else. And it's that thing like you hear on the airplane, put your mask on first before you take care of somebody else, and take care of yourself first before you're able to take care of somebody else. You can't, and what's that expression? You can't give from an empty bucket. What is it? I can't remember.
No, but I love the mask analogy.
The mask,
no one knows that. They give it to them. They give it to the baby before they give it to themselves. But if you're passed out,
it's so true. So it's so important. Self-care is not just, the commercial world probably just sees it as going to a spa or taking a bath or doing a face mask, but it's so much more. It's, getting your thoughts down in a book, journaling, the physical side, exercising, going outside, breathing fresh air, taking a moment of total silence, disconnecting from the world. Everything is just basically, you need to stop and recharge. You need to stop. Everybody's stressed out. Stress is bad for you. It's bad for your body. So if you don't learn to intentionally take time, and it doesn't mean that you have to take a whole hour, even 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and take care of yourself and recharge, you'll be a better person altogether.
Recharge. I think that's a powerful piece in there. Well, listen, we are already at that time, guys. Like, I don't understand how we got to that time already. That is absolutely crazy. I feel like we need a part 2, because this conversation can keep going on and on and on.
We certainly could. Plenty to talk about.
It could, but we're gonna wrap it up. So listen, Steve, tell us how we could reach you.
Well, if I duck my head a little bit, you can see my phone number. That is my phone. That's actually this phone right here. You could call. You can't see it, but you can call me. And I would be
texting to that number.
You could be texting to that number. Text whatever you're interested in. And I got another number. It's actually not on the screen, but if you want direct information, you can text info, INFO, to 215-325. No, 825-3323. Messed up the number. 215-825-3323. Or you could email me sgreen@makethegrade.net. Easiest.
And that's green with an E at the end.
At the end, I'm extra special. Extra E, extra special.
E for excellent. And Claudia, how would we reach out to you?
Yes. Well, I guess the easiest is email Claudia, my first name, at my last name, Swanik.net. Claudia@Swanik.net. But soon I will have one website that Brian's working on that I could send you to. But yeah, Claudia@Swanik.net.
Sounds like a plan. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's also contact information down below. So feel free to click it, subscribe to it. And we look forward to our next session with Mary Ann Ambrose. Again, talking about self-care. Now, with that being said, she's sitting on a ship, or a boat, not a ship, sailing through Mexico and lives in Hawaii. So I am very excited to see what her self-care is going to look like. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time and energy tonight. Be safe, and we look forward to seeing you later on for the next session. Thanks again.
Thank you.